Hello everyone, I am Matthew. I wanted to take a minute to talk about self-fulfillment and shipping games within the US. A lot of people have questions about the topic of shipping. I'm by no means an expert at it, but I do have a bit of experience through multiple projects, which I'd be happy to share with. I made a post on some Facebook groups and I've received a ton of questions or people inquiring about it. So I decided I'll make a video and kind of share some really great tips and tricks to save a ton of money. Self-fulfillment is 100% something you can do yourself. I wouldn't recommend doing it if you have over 500 backers, but anything under that is definitely well within doing, especially if you have a group of friends or a team that can assist you with it. Before I get into that, I'll give you a little bit of my experience. I got in the industry by designing a game called Don't Get Drunk, and I self-published it, and I fulfilled it myself. It was about 270 units, and this is the size of that game. So it's not massive, but it's on the bigger side. This was the first game that I self-fulfilled. I made a ton of mistakes and didn't know pretty much what I know now, and end up spending way more money than I needed to, and it really breaks my heart when I go back and think about it. I self-fulfilled using flat rate boxes from UPS or USPS, and it was definitely not the best way to do it. The next game I self-fulfilled was Duffers, and this was about 170 domestic. Obviously a different size and different weight than the other game, so what I'm going to tell you can work for any size game, really. It doesn't matter. And then the last one was design this game, and we published it in the North American market. They ran an awesome Kickstarter campaign and raised a ton of money, and they needed help fulfilling in North America, or US, sorry, and we did that for them. For this one specifically, it's under £1. When your product is under £1, you qualify for first class shipping, which is a very cheap shipping level to ship at. So that's probably going to be your most cost-effective way if you have something under £1. For this specifically, we just put it in a poly bag, and this was about 4 ounces. We printed out labels and we put them on there and we sent them out. I think it was about $3 to $5 depending on where they lived in the country to have this shipped to them. If they tried to do that from outside of the country, it would have been ridiculously expensive. So that's my experience. I also sell a bunch of stuff online and send out orders and stuff like that. So I have a lot of experience with shipping, and I've picked up some things along the way. But if you plan on self-fulfilling, you can definitely do it. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing it if you have more than 500 backers. And it's definitely going to be more cost-effective than working with a fulfillment center if you are local to the United States. If you are not, it's obviously anytime international shipping is involved, it's going to be ridiculously expensive. So in our last campaign for Mob, could we have self-fulfilled it within and saved some money? 100%. But we definitely would never even try and do that with our international backers. For that, we are sending the amount that we need to pallets to the EU with our European fulfillment publishing partner, and they're going to fulfill those for us, and it's way more cost effective than if we tried to do it from here. Within the US, if you are living in the US, you can definitely self-fulfill, and it will be more cost effective than working with a fulfillment center. If you look at fulfillment centers and the rates that they charge you per weight versus what I'm about to show you, you can save a lot of money. But again, if it's like 1,000 or 2,000 backers that are in the US, you have to keep in mind that those rates that they're giving you in the fulfillment centers are the cost of the box, the labor, returns, customer service, things like that. So you're getting more than just a fulfillment level, and it takes some of the workload off of you. And for Mob particularly, we're working with a US fulfillment partner because for us, that was the right way to go about it. But if you have a smaller campaign, I don't want you to think you have to work with one of these fulfillment companies, because you don't. If it's international and you're within the US, you probably should, but you also need enough games to justify you working with a fulfillment center, because you have to freight a pallet there and you also have to pay them for all that. So it has to make sense. Having said that, the example I'll use today is because I was talking to Shelby. He is the creator and publisher of Lonely Undead. He had some questions, and I'm going to use his game as an example. So he told me his game was 11 by 10 by 3 inches and about 3 pounds, 3 ounces. So the first thing that we need to do is find out the shipping, or how we're going to ship it, our packaging. So I'll start to share screen with you so you can see what I'm going through. This is our next Kickstarter launch under TGG Games, Tournament Fishing. I'm running this one. I'm very excited about it. Shameless plug. So the first thing you're going to do is get your box, right? So we know the dimension of our game. Now we need a box for it. I typically do about 1 inch larger on each side just to be safe, because you want to put some packaging in your game as well to protect it. So here we have just a website. They sell boxes in bulk. There's several to choose from. You don't necessarily have to use Uline. But as you can see here, we have a 12 by 12 by 4 box. This would easily fit that the Lonely Undead. And as you can see, it gives you pricing. Typically, the more boxes you order, this price comes down. With this specific box here, that's obviously not the case. But if you go down to this one, you can see 50 is $1.86, while 100 is $1.74. Obviously, this is a lot more expensive than this, which is something to consider. So I probably wouldn't get this box at all. You can also go on Amazon and try to get boxes here. 12 by 12 by 4, 25 counts, about 81 cents a box. That's not too much more expensive than this here, and Amazon has free shipping. So after you see the cost of shipping, it might make more sense to order from there. There's also eBay. You can order boxes from eBay. So you really just do some research, find the box that fits you best, and go with that one. A lot of the time, I'll buy a few different size boxes for whatever game I am, and I'll pack it and see if it will fit properly within a box that I get. There's some trial and error to this. And a good time to do this is if you have prototypes that are, if your box is not going to change and you have prototypes that you're sending out, this is a good chance for you to figure this sort of thing out. So, for instance, if I was to do this with duffers, I would get some bubble wrap. I would put duffers in it, and I would wrap it, and boom. Now your game is protected. There's different types of bubble wraps you could use. This is a pretty massive one. There's also the option of just craft paper. I use craft paper a lot of times when I ship things, and it's completely fine. Then you would take your box, for instance, right here, put it in, close it up, and now you have your product to ship. It's that easy. And I know now that I need this size box. This is a 10 by 7 by 4 with this type of packaging for it. So I can get the weight of this now, which I already know because I looked ahead of time. But it's 1 pound, 15 ounces. And then I have the dimensions. So now I have everything I need. But in this example, we're going to use the 12 by 12 by 4 one. I actually have a 13 by 13 by 4 box already. This is about 10 extra ounces. And then, the packaging, whether you decide to use craft paper or bubble wrap, it's going to add a little weight. So, if our game was 3 pounds and 3 ounces for the example we're using, we got to add an extra 10 ounces to that and some packaging. So maybe another 2 ounces. I think that's basically like 3 pounds, 15 ounces. So we could call it basically 4 pounds just to be safe at this point, okay? So once you have that figured out and you run yourself a successful campaign and you have your backers and they fill out, all their addresses and their backer information, whether that's, whether you're using BackerKit or just Kickstarter and exporting it, what's going to happen is your files are going to be exported in a CSV file. So here's an example of a CSV file. It's not showing it on the screen, so let me switch it real quick. Boom. And it'll show you in the CSV file. Obviously, I made an example here, but you have your shipping name, so your backer's name, their address, a second line for address if it's apartment or something longer, the city, the state, the postal code or zip code, the country, and then which game. So in this instance, this was old Regicide, and this was red. So we had two options with Regicide. There was a red box and a black box. So for each order, we made a separate CSV. Everyone that ordered a red box went on a specific CSV file. Anyone that ordered a black box went on a specific CSV file. So we could keep them separate, because what you're going to do is you're going to upload these to a shipping software platform that you're using, and you're going to print them all out at once, instead of obviously like putting each individual address in would take forever. So this is a way to save time and keep everything organized. When we had a game that has a copy of the red game and the black game, we had a different CSV file for people that wanted one of each. So once you have the CSV file, you're going to want to get your shipping software. So for me, I like to use Pirate Ship. This is free to use. Obviously, you have to pay for the shipping, but it has some of the best costs that you can get when you're shipping a game. Hands down, by far, it saves the most money. I used to use XPS Ship, which is also a good tool, but it's a little bit more difficult to set up an account, and you have to tie it to your bank. With Pirate Ship, you can just use your credit card, and it's pretty easy. So once you log in, you have the ability to create a label. You can just fill something out and build a label and do one individual shipping. Like if you need to send out a prototype copy, this is a great way to do it. And you can print your label at home instead of going to the USPS and waiting in line and having them do it for you and charging you way more money. The other thing you can do is, if you have an eBay account, if you want to sell your games on eBay after your campaign, this will automatically import their shipping information to your Pirate Ship account, and you can just easily print out labels and ship it. But what we're going to be using is upload a spreadsheet. This is where we upload our CSV file. So you'll click that and self-fulfill example CSV. In that example, I only had 3. But as you can see now, what you have to do is map it. So this is basically how they're going to put the information on the label and send it. You want it to match what your CSV file is showing as well. So as you can see, we have shipping name, shipping address, shipping city, all that stuff. You want to make sure that that is going to match up with this. So we put in the full name, the address, and you can see here to the to the right on the label preview, we're sending a game to SpaceX at 1 Rocket Road in California. You can change these as you need. You might have more information. You could literally put somebody's phone number. I wouldn't recommend it because it's like a public facing label that somebody could see, but you could add their email address, which is cool because then when you upload this in and you print these labels, it's automatically going to send tracking to that person. So now your tracking's out there already. So that's really easy for your, your self-fulfilling of your Kickstarter campaign. Congratulations on funding, by the way. So what you're going to do after you upload it, you figure out your mapping. It shows you example, confirm mapping. Boom. Okay. Now it's asking us to put in our box information. Remember we said that our box that we were going to use is going to be 12 by 12 by 4, and we were saying it's about 4 pounds, right? So that's in there. The CSV's uploaded, so it has all the addresses, has all the information. So we're just putting the box. Like this is what the game's coming in. This CSV specifically is for this game at this size box at this weight. If they have like a playmat or something else, obviously you would have a different CSV and this would be a little bit different. You'd have a different way to ship it. But in this example, let's look. 12 by 12 by 4, 4 pounds. That's what we looked at. Get rates. Okay. So it's showing you right now that this is 3 labels that were uploaded. It's did it all at once, gave us the cost. Showing us that the average cost is $14.20 for a shipping label, with a total cost of $42.60. You know, so that makes it really easy for you to import this. But this is where I'm going to show you the best way to save money on shipping. This is why self-fulfillment is and can save you a lot of money. And this is what it is right here. We're going to go back to the previous step. Here we go. We're back to this where we put in the dimensions and weight of our box. What I'm going to show you now is something called envelope, padded envelope, poly bag, soft bag, or box in a bag. So we're going to do box in a bag. Here we go. Let's look at this. Example. Let's pretend this is a 13 by 13 by 4, but we can pretend it's the 12 by 12 by 4. So before it was 1420 to send. So now let's look, once we change it to the poly bag, box in a bag. And if you see, it only has 2 dimensions because you don't need that one anymore. Let's get our rates. Wow, it's $9.69 average now for a label, and there's 3, so the total price is down to $29.08. That's a huge saving. It's like $5 a game. That's insane. When you have 100 or 200 of these, and you can save $5 on each one, that's massive. But what does it mean that we did this poly bag? Well, we need to put it in a poly bag. What's a poly bag? Well, here are examples of poly bags. This is a poly bag. Okay, a small one. They have tons of different size poly bags. There's another one. Here's a much bigger one. Here's an even larger one. Now, you can actually have these manufactured with your logo on them, and it's going to cost you like a few cents to do that. But ultimately, what we just did is said, hey, we're going to send all our games in a box. So here's our box. Here's our poly bag. Look at how easy this is to save ourselves $5. These are typically pretty durable, so you might get like a hole in your poly bag as you're doing it every now and then, but usually it's pretty good. And then look, it has this band. Pull the band across, put it down, boom, look at that. Now our bag is eligible to ship for that method, or our box is eligible to ship for that method that we just decided we wanted to ship it. All we had to do was put it in a bag. Obviously, that's going to take a little bit of extra effort on your part, or a little bit of work. But again, if you have a team, it's going to make this a lot easier. When we do it, we typically have somebody taping up boxes, somebody bubbling wrapping the games, somebody printing out the labels and prepping all that, and then we build it all together. So that's poly bags. I'll change this again. Poly bag, let's look it up. We can get 200 poly bags in this dimension for $26.99. I think that's like 13 cents a bag or something like that, which is really cheap. So obviously there's costs with buying your own boxes and buying your own packing material and the poly bags, but the amount that it can save you justifies those costs, and the costs aren't that high. But you do have to take them into consideration, obviously. So now we know we can send 1 copy of our game like this, right? Easy peasy. But what if you have a bigger game or a heavier game, or you want to send a case of games? Well, this is still a great method to do that, because you still can qualify for the poly bag shipping on Pirate Ship. The only thing is no dimension can be above 18 inches. So nothing can be above 18 inches, and the weight can't be above 20 pounds. As long as you're under those, you're good to go. So we can use an example. My last campaign for Mob Big Apple, we had quite a few retailers that wanted to buy cartons. You know, obviously they buy more than 1 unit. They'll buy 6 or 12, you know. And I want to be able to give that to them. But I have to be able to give them cheap shipping as well. Otherwise, it's a much tougher sell to make. So in the case of Mob, a carton of Mob is 17.75, so we're 1/4 of an inch under the maximum length by 10.5, and we'll just do it as a normal box, like if I didn't do the poly bag trick, by 7, and it actually weighs 10 pounds for me to send a carton of 6. That's my dimensions for Mob, which I'll be sending to retailers. So let's get our cost. Now this is still 3 labels, so say we're doing a retail order all at once, It's showing me that my average cost per label is $30.29. The total is going to be $90.88. That's actually not terrible to send somebody 6 games, but it can be better, much better. So let's go back. Let's do our poly bag trick again. Remember when I showed you that massive poly bag? Well, that's what I would put my carton in. So now we have it in the poly bag dimensions. Let's see what our cost is. Get rates. $12 to send 6 games, an entire carton, to a retailer somewhere in the country. I mean, all 3 of them combined is $35.46, so there's going to be some variation in the pricing there, but that's ridiculously cheap. I mean, you could literally tell the retailer, like, hey, I'll split shipping with you. Your cost is $12, and then they think you're doing a great deal for them, and you really are. I mean, even at $12 shipping, you are, but they feel good about it now, and they're getting the game, and it's not costing you anymore. Or you could absorb $12 of shipping to build a relationship with a retailer. Like, that's an awesome thing to be able to do. So poly shipping is by far the best way to save yourself money, whether it's fulfilling an entire Kickstarter campaign on your own or sending out prototype copies of your game to YouTube reviewers or Instagram reviewers or whoever it may be, which is a good time for you to figure out the exact dimensions of your boxes and the weight of your game and the packing material you'll need and all that. Obviously, once you know all that, buy all that stuff in advance. So this way, if you do have the game shipped to you for self-fulfillment, you can immediately start doing it. I will often start making boxes like the week I know that the games are going to arrive, because then I have that part done already. And then I just have to buy pizza and beer for my friends to fulfill the rest of it, right? But there's certain things that you're going to need in order to be able to self-fulfill as well. You're going to want to get yourself a scale. This is how I know how much my box weighs. So you need to be pretty exact with this, because if you're off, it's going to cost you. I've sent something on here before with the wrong weight, and they charged me the difference. They still fulfilled it, but I had to pay it. So you want to make sure you have this right so all your numbers are accurate. It's very important. The next thing that you're going to want to have is a tape measure. This will allow you to know the dimensions of your box. Normally, when it says 10 by 4 or 10 by 7 by 4, it's sometimes like 10 and a quarter by 7 and a quarter by 4.5. Like, that's typically the internal dimensions. So you just want to be sure. So just double check it. The next thing you're going to want is a Dymo label printer. There's tons of different printers out there. It doesn't technically have to be Dymo. This is the one that I use. It's very reliable. It's a couple $100, but it's a great investment for the amount of things that I fulfill and do on my own. With the money that this shipping method and not working with a fulfillment partner is going to save you, it's a good investment to make. And the last thing is going to be a tape gun. This is very handy when you have hundreds and hundreds of boxes to make. For example, here's the Duffer's box. Look how easy that this can be. Done. Voila. So now you don't have to take extra time to do this or be working with a tool that isn't very effective. All this stuff can be bought on Amazon or eBay or a local store or wherever you want to go at reasonable prices, and it allows you to fulfill or ship things very cheaply in the future forever. So it's a great investment to make. So now that you have your tools, you have your shipping figured out, you have your boxes packed, you have 350 games in your house. Like, oh no, I got to take these to USPS now, because that's how we ship on Pirate Ship, USPS, because it's the cheapest. What are we going to do? Drive them all to USPS? No. What we're going to do is schedule a pickup. USPS will come to your house for free. You just have to go on, put in your information, and schedule a pickup for a day of your choice most of the time. It's very easy. The only downside is they won't scan all the games as they pick them up. They will when they take them back to USPS, headquarters or wherever they're at. Problem with this is a game could get lost. You could, at that point, you could cancel the shipping. This way they don't charge you for that, and you're just out the cost of the game. I've done this several times, and I think they've lost like 2 games ever, maybe. Like it's so small, it's okay. It's worth not having to drive 350 copies myself. The next thing I want to talk to you about is international shipping. I do not recommend international shipping yourself from US to anywhere else in the world because it is ridiculously expensive. I don't fully understand it, and there's all kinds of customs and other expenses that you do not want to have to mess up. If you do have to do international shipping, you have a few games. I allowed international shipping on my last campaign for my game called What the Pong under my brand Envy Born Games because it was a small campaign, and I think I have like 6 international backers, so it's not bad. But the most effective way for international shipping that I have found out recently is called First Class Package International Service. Now, it has some restrictions and requirements to it, but if you fall within these, you can get a much better shipping rate for your international packaging. It has to be under 4 pounds. The total lengths cannot be over 36 inches. And then certain countries and prohibit, and there's certain restrictions. Geez, words, talking too much right now. And there's countries and certain things that have restrictions. But other than that, that's going to be how I fulfill those orders. Obviously, the ideal situation is working with a fulfillment partner in the EU or wherever your international shipping fulfillment needs are at. But you have to have enough orders that it justifies that cost, as I said earlier. In that sense, it's the best way to fulfill those international backers. And as a board game community, we want to be inclusive to everyone and have everyone get to enjoy your game. So it's good to cater and try to get the international backers involved in your campaign because the more the merrier, right? So I think that's all I got for you guys. Let me look at my list really quick. Yeah, I think that's it. So, listen, again, I'm by no means an expert at shipping. I have a lot of experience. I feel pretty confident about it. These are definitely going to save your average person a lot of money when it comes to shipping. If you know of shipping tips or cost-saving methods that I didn't mention, please share them in the comments. I would love to know them. I'm sure everyone else would. I don't know where I'm going to post this, probably Facebook groups or YouTube. Either way, just comment in the comment section of where they are. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer those or give you my advice on those any way that I can. If you, just feel free. And also, I have pretty good experience with ocean freight. Ocean freight is something that's crazy right now. I've personally arranged over 8 of them myself for different games, importing games from China to America. So if that's something that you would all like a video on, I can do that too. I can go through it step by step like I did with this. Just let me know in the comments below or send me a DM or whatever it is. I'm happy to help. If you need help kind of figuring out some of this on your own for your own campaign, I'm happy to help with that too. Just send me a DM. That's one thing I love about the game community. I will say everyone's very helpful within it and shares information, which I think is super cool because not every industry is like that. But again, I hope this helps some people. And again, I'm by no means an expert, but I think this isn't a lot of common knowledge or something that people struggle on and can be overwhelming. So please just ask any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And thanks for taking the time to watch my video. I will see you all later.